When a relationship ends, about 40% of people struggle with feelings of anger. And if you're amongst the 35% of people who've experienced emotional abuse in a relationship, that number is probably higher. But what if I told you the anger you feel isn't just natural? It's a vital part of the healing process. It's your inner alarm system calling for something to change. The question is, are you ready to take action?
He'll never get away with this.
And no, by action I don't mean revenge. I mean action that takes you on a powerful journey of healing and self-discovery that sets the scene to transform your relationship with yourself and those close to you. I've been a clinical psychologist for over 15 years, helping people to recover from the aftermath of abusive relationships. When I meet someone who's struggling with overwhelming feelings of anger, they usually feel ashamed of it. They think it's a sign that they're a bad or uncaring or unkind person. Sometimes they even feel it makes them as bad as their abuser. But as a therapist, when I see that glint of anger, I get really pleased because it tells me that some part of you isn't happy with status quo. Some part of you wants something better for yourself. Some part of you is ready for a little rebellion and a little insurrection against abuse and being controlled. So if you are feeling that anger right now, please know it isn't a sign that there's something wrong with you. It doesn't make you a bad or evil or unkind person. Quite the opposite. Your anger is a sign that some part of you is deeply caring and protective towards you. Your anger could even be a sign of self-compassion. Your anger is the voice that draws your attention to the ways that you've been hurt. And it will also point directly to the very things that you cherish most: respect, dignity, kindness, reciprocity, all things that may well have been taken away from you in an abusive relationship. Your anger may be the part of you that is voicing the protest and saying, no more, things need to change. And when you take that anger seriously, it has the power to cut through patterns of self-sacrifice, making yourself small, silencing yourself, and tiptoeing around someone else. Your anger is telling you that you are worthy of protection, you're worthy of care, you're worthy of respect, and you're worthy of prioritizing yourself. Anger tends to be a pretty energetic and motivating emotion. So if you can befriend your anger and allow it to guide you to take better care of yourself, you may be surprised at the energy and even exhilaration that comes from transforming your life in ways that you never thought possible. I also know that rebuilding your life after abuse is a long and uphill journey, but healing comes in those tiny deliberate steps that you take every day. And in my work with people through this journey, I am always amazed at how those tiny steps build into something really quite profound that are far more than the sum of their parts. Now, in the rest of this video, I'm going to share 4 steps so you can get a sense of where you are right now and what your next step might be as you move forward in this journey. Step 1 is to get to know yourself better. Rather than focusing on the abusive person, how bad, how cruel, how outrageous their behavior has been, agree with your anger that they were cruel, that they were abusive, and undoubtedly one of the effects of their actions is making yourself small, neglecting you, losing yourself in a relationship. And that's why one of the most vital steps in healing is to get to know yourself again, or to get to know yourself for the first time. This really can start very small. For some people I've worked with, we've just turned on some music on Spotify and listened to see what lyrics they like, what rhythms they like, what beats they like, what melodies they like. You can do the same with food. Try different flavors, different textures, different temperatures. And again, it's not about what you're eating so much as about paying attention to your sensations, what you like, what you dislike, what you enjoy. These small and seemingly rather trivial activities serve a vital purpose of helping to tune into yourself, to your sensations and your experiences, which are probably things that you've neglected in an abusive relationship. As you get to know yourself and you build your confidence, this can get more exciting. You can try new hobbies, take up something you've always wanted to do, try something new. This can be a real adventure of self-discovery that begins with simply paying attention to yourself. And now you're ready for step 2. Now that you've got to know yourself a little bit, your needs, your preferences, your wants, your dislikes, it's time to share them with other people. Now, this is really important. If you've been in an abusive relationship, the chances are you've been in a relationship where you haven't been or you haven't been able to be a good advocate for yourself. People have taken advantage of you, walked all over you, made you small and diminished. And the idea of being a good advocate for yourself, of speaking your own mind and sharing that with other people can feel pretty terrifying. In an abusive relationship, sharing your true thoughts and feelings may actually be rather dangerous. So it makes sense that you've learned not to do it. But to recover your life, to recover your voice, to build better relationships with other people, speaking up for yourself is a vital part of the process. But as always, you don't have to start in high-stakes situations. You can start very small, and remember, small actions build up over time to be far more than the sum of their parts. So you may start very simply, sharing with a friend something you liked, a movie you liked, a television program, or even a song. This might not seem like a big deal, but if you've been in a relationship where you're never able to speak your mind, this is a first step in asserting yourself. And then you can begin to get bolder. One challenge I often set for people who've been through abusive relationships who are really bad at speaking up for themselves is to go to a restaurant or a cafe and order something, but ask for a few minor adjustments.
Vanilla sweet cream cold brew, get rid of the regular pumps and add 8 sugar-free pumps, 2 stevia, a scoop of vanilla bean powder, and voila.
This might seem rather trivial, but making requests, asking other people for something that you want is a vital skill to learn. Over time, those small steps really add up. You'll rediscover your voice and your sense of self-worth. Healing doesn't come in a grand transformation, but in many small, deliberate, intentional steps that you take along the way. And now you may be ready for step 3, sharing your voice courageously in your closest relationships. This means learning how to say when you don't like something or you don't want to do something. This may mean telling people things that they don't really want to hear. Maybe you're going to tell your friend that you're not available to help them move house. Or perhaps you're going to say that you didn't really enjoy the movie all that much after all. Or perhaps you're going to let someone down and decline an invitation because you really need to rest. By communicating these things openly, you'll find how respectful and accepting other people can be of your needs. It can break patterns of people-pleasing and self-sacrifice and transform your relationships. Hopefully, you'll have the experience of people being respectful towards you, caring towards you, interested in your feelings and your needs. You may also discover that there are some relationships you're in where people are not so keen on hearing your voice, where even if you share your views tactfully and gently, or you make your requests respectfully and with kindness, that their response is outsized anger, rage, or irritation. And that may tell you something very important about that person and your relationship with them. As you build better relationships with yourself and with people around you, you may be ready for step 4. Reflect on your past relationships and identify where you contributed to them going wrong. Now, this doesn't mean that you were wholly to blame or that the other person wasn't a class A asshole or a narcissist. They may well have been, but understanding how you interacted with them can be a fruitful exercise. Often, this is more possible a little later on in the recovery process, when you've had a chance to regain some sense of yourself and a bit of balance and equilibrium. But without any sense of blaming yourself, you may realize ways in which you were quiet in the relationship, ways in which your behavior didn't serve you or your needs. Maybe you didn't voice your suspicions about your partner cheating, or clarify what you and they expected from the relationship. Maybe you went along with things resentfully. Maybe you isolated yourself from friends and family, allowed yourself to get smaller and more diminished. Maybe you denied your own feelings and your own needs, didn't let yourself get angry or make demands. And if that's the situation you find yourself in, it can be painful and difficult to reflect on those aspects of the relationship, the things that you maybe don't like so much about yourself, things that you feel embarrassed or ashamed about. I don't want you to come at this with an attitude of self-criticism or blaming yourself, but rather with an attitude of respectful curiosity, compassion, and concern for yourself. I also want to recognize that in some relationships, it is dangerous to voice your true feelings or your needs, and that being quiet, being small, diminishing yourself is a survival strategy that helps get you through. However, the courage to look at those things can really set you free. So listen to your anger and let it show you the parts of you that need attention and care. I promise you, what you focus on will grow. As you turn your attention to getting to know yourself, to being bold and courageous in expressing your needs and your feelings, you are planting the seeds for a future that aligns with your values. So now it's your turn. How are you going to turn your anger into action? Whereabouts do you think you are in the steps? And the steps, by the way, they're not linear. You'll probably do a bit of step 1, and then a bit of step 2, and then a bit of step 3, and a bit of step 4, and then you'll go back to step 1. That's totally fine. But let me know, where are you, and what's your next step going to be? Let me know in the comments. Now, one of the hardest aspects of dealing with anger is that deep sense of injustice. The angry part of you is not going to like the fact that the person who hurt and abused you may be very unlikely to ever acknowledge it, to ever apologize, much less face any consequences for it. No, it's not fair and it is deeply unjust. But it is possible to turn that sense of injustice into a sense of empowerment and freedom. And you can find out more about that by watching this video right here.